Good evening, lovely folk. And today, well, it seems to be a slightly humid evening. Slightly, let's say, I don't think the weather can make up its mind, but this channel has made up its mind. Let's begin by asking you a question. How does one become a rock star? Or maybe a rocker. When I say rocker, I don't mean somebody in a rocking chair who's old, who doesn't have teeth in his mouth. No, I'm talking about someone who is a rock star, who made it to being a rock star, who is a rocker, and who is an amazing human being. Amazing human being, even to the point of, let's say, humility is like it runs through his veins, even though he's already reached a pedestal. So, with no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I present Deepak Nair, aka Dean from Punk. And we would love to know your story. So, Dean, take it away, my friend. The show is yours. Tell us a little about yourself first.
First of all, thank you so much for having me on your show. I've been following your channel. I've been watching all your videos and truly inspirational stuff, great stuff that you've been doing. And like you said, it's all about making a change, and be it changing one person or an entire community. It's good that you're doing, and I'm really honored to be a part of the show. I'm a musician. I'm a rocker. Started pretty early. Started during the days with the school choir. I went to a Christian boarding school. So that's where it all started. It started in the church and went on to form a school band. And then in Trivandrum itself, started playing for school competitions, got acknowledgements and won a few competitions. Then I came to Delhi for my graduation. And it was very clear. I was one of those lucky few who knew very early in life what I wanted to do, and it was to be on the stage, to be a performer, and music was already in my blood. My grandfather was a musician, and he was not a professional musician, but music was always a part of the family. My mom used to sing, and I started pretty early. Apparently, as a toddler, I've been told that my sense of rhythm was very good, and yeah. So then my mom, her only condition was that you be a graduate, and then you can do it to, you know, fly. So I said fine. So even in Delhi, when I came during my college days, I had my first band called Crossbreeds, which went on to become Arth, and played. Then we had the band called True Colors, and we won all the major inter-college competitions. We won stuff at an all India level, and there was a time when I had to choose between moving to Bombay and commercializing what I'd already started, and which was a very difficult choice because being in a profession which is already alternate from your mainstream careers, and then being alternate in that alternate industry, which is still a big uh, you know difficulty. And so instead of going to Bombay, I decided that I should study music, I should learn music. And I decided to go to Germany to pursue my bachelor's degree in jazz and popular music. Spent about 4 years there, got completely humbled, and was put into my place repeatedly. Because for us during music period was going out there and playing football. But for them in Germany, music meant music period. So most of my batchmates had already learned all the notation, all the music theory was done way back in school. And for me, that was something totally new. And for the first year I was in Germany, I didn't even get out of my room. I was basically moving between the room I was staying and the campus and the piano rooms. I didn't even go to a bar or a pub, or I had no social life. My only friends were the musicians I knew from the music school. And that happened for the better because I formed my band called Guru, which was again Hindi rock. I believed I'm a nationalist. Okay, I'm a proud Indian, and my idea was always to come back. I never wanted to leave the country, and I believe that this is where it has to be done. The West has already seen the best of music and the best concerts and stuff like that, and we are yet to see that still in India. So Guru was signed by Times Music in 2006. I came back 2007, formed the band Punk. We were signed by EMI Records, and the first album of Punk was released by EMI Virgin Records. And then it's been a journey. We've been touring, playing, and so far so good.
Amazing. That is some journey, Deepak. Um, what kind of problems or tribulations did you face while going through this? For a while, like reaching from where you were to where you are now. And since we also know that there have been quite a few losses as band members as well. And how did you just cope up with that? How did you kind of keep that? I mean, I can't say that you battled depression, but I obviously know when, when you're a group and you're a band, there's a certain sense of camaraderie that always remains, of course, but the camaraderie can go down south anytime. So, I mean, keeping all of that intact, keeping the group intact, keeping everything within yourself, and then channelizing that to create music that you've always created, to actually taking out a track which is called Jada, which, I mean, the translation from Malayalam would mean attitude in English. It speaks volumes. But then, what did you face on this entire journey of yours? And, how did you cope with that?
Alex, there's a whole saying that says a band is like a marriage.
Yeah,
Being in a band is like being in a marriage. Okay.
right, of
There's
course.
a lot of give and take. There's a lot of mutual respect.
Yes.
Respect for, like, that's how you get together. Firstly,
Yeah.
and there's a common goal, a common
Hmm.
zeal
Hmm.
that you want to make this kind of music, or that's what brings a band, your band members together, or you choose the right guitar player or whatever. Initially, it was all of us were in the same level of musicianship, if I may say. So from the like you said, the biggest issue has not been about ego clashes. With, at least personally speaking, it has never been that. But it has
Of course.
been more
Of course.
about losing people during this journey, losing them in various ways.
Hmm.
Initially, I lost a lot of
Hmm.
people because of the pressures of their families. In India, it's
Right.
maybe now it's conducive to become a musician or an artist or a painter or a sportsman. But when we started, there was just one channel called DD Metro.
Yeah.
There
Right.
was no Instagram, there was no
Absolutely.
Facebook, there was no,
Absolutely.
and there was All India Radio where you could get, which became Times FM much later. So the
Hmm.
opportunities were so limited, you know.
Hmm.
There was, and there's no dearth of talent. This country has always had a lot of talent,
Absolutely.
but there was no space. So I lost
Hmm.
a lot of members. They had to take up jobs. They had to move on. They had to earn. This was never regular income for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So eventually, the people who were left were the people who were ready to sell their souls or musical souls to go and play in a bar,
Yeah.
play
Yeah.
commercial music, play
Right.
songs from Daler Bandi's album. Being a
Hmm.
rock
Hmm.
band, we've been
Hmm.
requested to play songs from Punjabi albums. Or we've
Yeah.
had situations where we've been stuck. You go to a
Hmm.
college with your own song list, and there have been people who come, these goons, college goons,
Hmm. Hmm.
presidents, or
Hmm.
whoever
Hmm.
would
Hmm.
give you that gig, paying you whatever little
Sorry.
pittance they would, expecting
Yeah.
you to play
Yeah.
what you want.
Hmm.
That was a very, very tough time. And from that, to break from that, to feel frustrated about it, and yet we had to do it. We had to do it because we had to buy equipment, we
Yeah.
needed gear,
Yeah.
we needed momentum, you know. But luckily, Junoon happened. Honestly, the
Hmm.
Pakistani
Hmm.
band Junoon,
Yeah. Yeah.
that was the best thing that could
Sayuni.
happen to Asian or global music.
Right.
Sayuni and all.
Exactly.
And when that happened, that inspired a lot of people.
Hmm.
When a Pakistani band was doing so well, commercial success was achieved. Indians started looking, Magnus and companies like that. They started venturing into, and that's the time Indian pop kind of took over.
Right.
Alicia
Right.
Chinoy, Daler Mehndi,
Hmm.
Euphoria,
Euphoria.
Shan.
Yeah.
We had
Hmm.
so much of that happen.
Hmm.
Yeah. So that kind of opened the market. And that's
Hmm.
when we took that call of doing Hindi rock,
Hmm.
thinking about the fact that India has to be the target. India has to be where we want to present our music.
Hmm.
And the journey went on. And then, with musicians and artists, habits, and, you know,
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
can get
Yeah.
hooked onto stuff.
Yeah.
People can be dependent on stuff. So I had a
Right.
few members, very close friends of mine. First, they were my friends, and then they were my musicians or my
Right.
bandmates. And I
Right.
lost them. I lost them over the period of time. They didn't give up on life, but they had their own turmoils and they had their own weaknesses. And whenever they didn't have gigs or they didn't have the whatever the need to play the guitar, they used to pick the bottle, hit the bottle.
Yeah.
So I lost two very close friends, good guitar players, two lovely human beings, and that had its toll on me, the band, the music, and more than depression, I would like to use the word sadness, grief.
Yeah.
If I may differentiate between sadness and depression. Depression is something, you know, you may feel that you're not accepting yourself, or that you don't belong to yourself, or you don't connect with other people. But grief and sadness is when you lose people
Yeah.
and then you are left with their families and their sorrows and their joys, and then you see that they had dreams which they could not fulfill, and then there's an emptiness, and you wonder whatever it's for. And death is a leveler.
Yeah. True.
It's really incredible how, when you lose people for real, it can really get your mind going
Yeah.
to
Something like
spots
death
where
humbles you.
you wonder. Absolutely.
Let
And then
death
I lost my
humbles you.
uncle, my grandfather, my pet. So I lost a lot
Oh
of
God.
people, and then COVID happened. And COVID,
Yeah.
we lost people all over the world, all around us,
Yeah.
and somebody always knew somebody who had passed away.
Right. Right.
So that grief, that sadness, that's what was my biggest challenge, or you know, dealing with that.
Um, Dean, there's another question I'd like to ask you. Like, what's your message to sorry, what's your message to budding musicians or people with talent per se? Like, when it comes to substance abuse and alcoholic abuse, because somehow they still think that, like, by being, or let's say by surrendering to peer pressure, like, it just makes them feel cool, but somewhere or the other, it kind of destroys their creativity as well. So, what would be your message to, like, I don't know, maybe budding musicians, or even budding artists for that matter? I mean, what would be your
I
message?
would like to straight away take a quote from Sadhguru. I follow his channel. I listen to his talks, and he simply
Right.
says that if alcohol or drugs is something that enhances your abilities, would you take a plane ride if the pilot comes stoned or drunk? Would you like to get on that plane?
Yeah, 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 of course.
Would
Absolutely.
you
Yeah,
like to
I've
ride
heard
an
this. Yeah.
airplane, or would you like
Hmm.
to get on a car or a taxi where the driver is drunk? Would you like a race car
Hmm.
driver? Same way, I think the biggest high has to be music or your passion.
Hmm.
I have never been on stage. Maybe at a very early stage, I tried once or something to go a little high. One of my guitar players had told me that, have a shot of whiskey and you'll feel a
Yeah.
little more chilled out and stuff. And but I saw myself going all awry, and I had no control over what I was doing. It was a great gig, although, but there
Hmm.
was no take back.
Yeah.
I don't remember anything from the gig,
Hmm.
or the later when we saw the videos or the photographs, that's when we got to know that, it was a great gig.
Hmm.
And the greatest high was always from the audience, the response we
Yeah,
got,
of course, of
or the
course. The
music you
applause,
played.
yeah, of course. Since
And my
I'm sorry, I've also kind of followed your concerts, and I've also seen, like, I've seen you, like, light up when people have the lighters up in the air, and when they're actually, like, kind of cheering, like, the name, not just the name of the band, but also your name, and they want to hear you one more time. I don't think there's a higher. I mean, there's a high. like that can beat that when it
Absolutely
comes to
agree.
performance.
Yeah.
And since there's this very sad myth also that, like, if you say, okay, I mean, I play rock music, there's this very sad I don't want to use the word myth, but how do I put this? Like, I mean, this
Assumption.
is a set mindset basically. Like,
Mhm.
there's this mindset, a very I mean, this might sound a little, it may come as a bit of a generalization, that okay, so he plays rock, so obviously this guy is stoned, you know now that I mean, I don't exactly see the connection, because being stoned has nothing to do with music. When you look at Sufi music, for example, like your group itself has, you guys went to Sufi punk, like
Yep.
a Sufi punk rock for quite some time. And I mean, Sufi had nothing to do with being stoned. Sufi music was all to do
Sufi
with, like,
absolutely means being clean. It's the opposite of being
resonating.
stoned.
Exactly my point. So I mean, I mean, can you debunk this myth, please? Like, I mean, this generalization of, Asha, he's a rock star, to, he's stoned. He has to be stoned. Only then can he perform.
Alex, those days are gone. Today, music is very technical,
Hmm.
very competitive.
Right.
There was a time in the 70s when you could be stoned and get on stage, but that
Right.
didn't last too long. Those
Hmm.
musicians have evaporated or already have left us.
Right.
Today, you have to be on, man. You cannot. Today, the world has changed. You have to be on.
Right.
You cannot get away with it. There are
Absolutely.
10,000 competitors, there are 100,000 musicians out there playing their licks, practicing every day, really putting all their soul, heart and soul into their music. So
Hmm.
there, you can't get away with that kind of stuff today. And my honest advice to musicians today is that I honestly still don't know anything about marketing or what it's all about getting views or it's about product placement and all that. I think if you have a bunch of guys who want to get together and play, that already is rewarding. Already is rewarding.
Yeah.
A bunch of guys getting
Absolutely.
into a room and
Absolutely.
playing what you want to do is already rewarding. Everything else comes
Hmm.
secondary. And I'd like to quote the Foo Fighters vocalist come drummer, Nirvana's drummer, Dave Grohl. In one of his interviews, he had said that I I don't know much about anything, but I know that if I get a microphone and a band, I'm going to give it all. I'm going to
Beautiful.
sing my heart in such a way that I'd like to blow the whole audience away.
Beautiful.
The
Beautiful.
same has to be with the musician, the drummer. He sees the drum kit and he's thinking, today I play that shit out of the drum kit. I'm going to
Right.
beat the shit out of this drum kit. I'm going to
Yeah.
play and blow you guys apart. And every gig, be it
Yeah.
5 people in the audience, be it 5,000, it doesn't matter. No audience, your audience, first audience is your own band member.
Of
And
course.
believe me when I'm saying this, when we're on stage, we're first playing, I'm singing first for my guitar player. I'm trying to
Right.
impress him first. I'm trying to get my brownie points from him first. The same
Hmm.
goes with my guitar player. He's trying to improvise something which he did not do at the practice pad.
Hmm.
Every time he's trying to play a new lick or he's trying to show me something incredible that he's practiced or done.
Hmm.
And that's the first thing that gets the band together and gets the band going. That wow, man, it's
Hmm.
awesome to play with great musicians. And being a vocalist, that's the best. Uh,
Yeah.
you're having the best music coming to your ears.
Absolutely.
It's a win-win
Absolutely.
situation. And then comes the audience.
Right. So, Dean, very quickly, tell us about this amazing track that's come out right now, Jada. What inspired you to create Jada? I mean, it's been a massive success already, and still the numbers are still piling up. So,
Eight
what, like,
steps.
like Jada? Yeah, man. Tell us
Chara
about
is
it.
my or Punk's first. It's our first Malayalam song.
Right.
The whole point of doing the song first was to to again narrow down the target audience. We thought
Hmm.
we should target the Malayalis or the Keralites, which is a
Right.
smaller demographic, and then
Right.
the nation, and then the world, or
Hmm.
whatever. And the
Hmm.
idea was put into me by my grandfather. Like he's no, but he always wanted me to do a Malayalam song. He said that, come on, being a
Hmm.
Malayali, you need to do a song in Malayalam. And in school, this word Jada, like I've been to a boarding school, and I've had my schooling done from down south.
Right.
Jara is a very negative, mostly used as a negative term, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
got a lot
Yeah.
of Jara means he's got a lot of attitude.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like the word attitude,
Yeah.
it can have a it does have a positive uh, vibe as well. Like having a
True.
lot of
True.
Jara means having a lot of attitude,
I'm
and
not
you need to have the
attitude.
right
Yeah.
attitude. You know, you could
Right.
come with a very sexy looking car and say, "Oh, that's a Jara car," or "That's a Jara guitar,
Yeah.
man," or "That's a Jara guitar solo you just
Absolutely.
playing it," or something. Yeah.
Right.
So, and most of the time that's used in a negative word. So we wanted to play with that word. I wanted to play with that word, personally speaking. I said, why you know, Jara is such a
Hmm.
cool word. And so the whole song is giving it a positive shade. There's nothing negative about it. Jara is
Hmm.
about standing up for your
Right.
rights, standing up from where you fall, get up, stand up for your
Hmm.
rights, revolution, you know, attitude, grit. These are the words that you know,
Right.
Jara song uh, talks about. And idea was to also
Hmm.
collaborate with a lot of musicians. So like you also like answering to your earlier question, now I don't have one guitar player or two guitar. I've got about 5, 6 guitar players. I've got 4, 5 drummers. I've got a
Hmm.
couple of
Hmm.
bass players. Punk
Right.
has become more of an artist collaboration or
Hmm.
collective rather. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm the vocalist. I have a few song ideas, and I bring in musicians from you know various and honestly now it's also time to break genres. You see, you start with
Yeah.
rock and metal,
Hmm.
but
Yeah.
then you know over the time you're inspired and you're listening to everything. You know,
Hmm.
I love Pink Floyd as much as I love Sepultura or Pantera. So
Right.
all those influences are there. So you know, at a time you might be thinking of a
Hmm.
retro synth wave song.
Hmm.
The next song might be like you said, like a Sufi song
Hmm.
or an acoustic song.
Hmm.
So I work with musicians who are champions of that kind of music.
Hmm.
So the idea was to work and collaborate with musicians from Kerala. So I was in Trivandrum. I was lucky to meet a couple of good musicians from there. Jammed up with the band there, recorded the song there. We shot the video there. Again, idea was to collaborate with. Uh, Again, in Kerala, the society is a little more narrow-minded, if I may. You being a
You could use the
Malayali,
word
you
like
yourself know more
conservative,
about this.
basically, a little more conservative.
Conservative, absolutely, yeah.
Right. Right.
And even today, you'll want everybody to be a doctor or an
Hmm.
engineer.
Hmm.
Everybody, you know, it's very difficult for a child to say that I want to be a dancer
Hmm.
or I
Hmm.
want to be a fitness enthusiast
Hmm.
or I want to be a sportsman, all that. So, and there's a lot of trouble with the police. You cannot, I mean, you know, it's impossible, difficult for you to grow long hair
Right.
and walk around the streets. You're called a freak. Freak is the word they use for anybody who's pierced or tattooed.
Hmm.
And, you know, they face a lot of flack from the
Yeah.
society and
Right.
from the police. So there is
Hmm.
an alternate movement now, you know, and rock music comes from that kind of you know, if you look at the history of rock music happened
Hmm.
because of all the wars and all that Vietnam stuff did. That's when you
Yeah.
know, you had the first festivals coming up.
Hmm. Hmm.
So same way, Jada was to call out to all those kids who want to pursue their dreams and passion. That's why we roped in this dance troupe. There are dancers in the video. There is a fitness enthusiast. There is
Hmm.
a tattoo artist in the video. So we wanted to collaborate with all these people in the video, and the song was completed, and now it's out there.
Awesome. Awesome. That's like, I mean, I've watched the video I don't know how many times, and I still can't get enough of it because, like, it kind
Oh,
of
so that's why we're getting the views
every
from, huh?
yeah, it's the views from, yeah, you're right, absolutely right. But another, let's say, more of a query than a question. When you write a song down, like, I mean, what's your thought process? I mean, what goes in the back of your mind when you're writing something down? Like, like any song, for example, like, is it because of what happened or what you
Uh,
feel or like?
I'm one of those guys. The tune or the concept always came first than the words.
Okay, okay,
So
all right,
right now I know that my next song is going to be called Kranti. Kranti is already in work in progress, and
right.
Kranti was inspired from the Gadar movement, the
Hmm,
revolutionary Indian movement, and
hmm,
songs of Kranti work in 3 ways. somebody who knows about
Hmm.
India's struggle for freedom would like to get that out of the lyric. But on a
Hmm.
second level, it's working for me as a struggling musician or a struggling artist. What are my struggles in
Hmm.
the struggle for that freedom?
Hmm.
And from the third point of view, it would be for somebody who's struggling in his own life,
Right.
breaking
Right.
out
Of course.
chains,
Of
breaking the
course.
chains of his own struggle. So for me,
Of course.
songwriting happens after the concept is there, the tune is there, and then I try to fit in the words within that. When we're jamming itself, a
Hmm.
lot of words I blurt out. It comes from my subconscious mind.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then I record it and I come hear it and I said, okay, if I'm feeling about this, like you're a great talker, man. Your show, I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of yours.
Yeah.
You're a poet,
Thanks, man.
you know? Yeah, awesome poetry. Anybody who's watching this
Thank
must
you.
go and check out all of Alex's videos. So,
Thanks, man.
and it's always a it's always a work in progress. Then you
Of
set it
course. Of
out, and then
course.
you want to find the meter for it. There's a little bit of with like the rhyming or trying to put it in the spaces, and then finding the chorus.
Hmm.
So it's a work in progress, and I write down these thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts that come randomly to me. I just pen them down. Suddenly I find a hook, and these thoughts are already there, and I've got a lot of notes that
Hmm.
talk about these songs, and then I take up the acoustic guitar or the keyboard and then try to figure out, okay, these chords, or I want to use this kind of a progression, and that's how you start. You end up having a song.
Hmm. Um.
And incidentally, the lyrics initially, my grandfather had written some stuff,
Okay.
some plays and street plays. So
Okay.
I got a lot of lyrics from that, and then I had somebody helping me out also from Kerala who helped me out with some of the lyrics because Malayalam
Hmm.
is my first language. uh, you know, I haven't been speaking that language or haven't been living in Kerala for the last 20-25 years.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that was the idea to record the song also in Kerala, was to be able to be checked.
Right.
So there were times I'd sing a line and the guitar player or this guy who was helping with the lyric would say, hey, your pronunciation is not happening here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Try
Hmm.
to do this here, there.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah.
Um. Just two more questions, and we'll try to kind of
Please
wrap
go.
this up.
No worries.
Let's say that, I mean, I don't know, and I don't know which question to ask you first, because I mean, you're like one of those like personalities who, like, someone, before asking a question, they need to be like, kind of, okay, should I ask this question, shouldn't I ask this question, like, but I guess, like, I think I will. um Fairly simple questions. I mean, any regrets through your entire journey, any regrets whatsoever?
No regrets. No regrets. Honestly,
That's a
the
man
only
who's
regret I
lived a
would
full
have,
life.
yeah, but there are, personally speaking, there are a few regrets, but again, I won't call them as regrets. A lot of people have advised me, my fellow musicians or fellow seniors who I look up to and who've mentored
Yeah.
me in their own way.
Hmm.
I'm a very emotional person, and and being overtly emotionally involved with my fellow musicians is what has caused me maximum grief, maximum pain. I've not been able to balance it between the professionalism and relationship. I've always considered them as brothers or friends. That has caused a lot of confusion and hurt. I've lost a couple of musicians because of that too.
Hmm.
Because you know there there's a fine line. I open my doors. I open the doors to my house. I say, come and stay here, live here, eat my food, share my food, be a part of my
Yeah.
family.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's when you're most vulnerable also. And then you're taken for granted,
Yeah.
and then some of the people don't know how to value that. You know that
Of
very
course.
well.
Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And you understand that situation very well.
Yeah.
So my only regret would be that I should have put those people in their places right from the beginning. I should have known, or I should have been more
Yeah.
vigil,
Yeah.
or I should have been more alert. People had warned me about these people. I should have been more careful with them in my
Hmm.
lives. They've caused a lot of havoc and caused a lot of
Hmm.
chaos in my professional life and in my personal life
Right.
also. So the only regret would have been to be more careful and to be more cautious about my friends, And yeah, that's it. Other than that, I've been again. I don't think I can change. It's too late. You meet a nice, cool guy. You tend to be like, oh wow, man, he's a nice person, and let's welcome him to our homes. But then you don't realize that perhaps it's the devil in sheep's clothing,
Yeah, of
or the
course,
wolf in sheep's
absolutely,
clothing.
absolutely, absolutely. Um, any advice to, today's generation? Where, I mean, personally, I feel that today's generation has absolutely no tolerance. Um, they don't believe in, kind of giving leap
Hmm.
to other people. So what would be your advice to them? I mean, since I also know that, you're like you like you really are a very strong supporter of victims who have been, like acid attack victims. You've always spoken
Hmm.
against them,
Yep.
and you've always spoken against the act, of what happened to them, what disfigured their lives and ruined their lives forever. And you've spoken very strongly about it. So what would be your, let's say, your two bits on the kids today?
Um, my first advice to them would be, like you said, tolerance. I'd
Yeah.
be like, be kind, be humble, and don't try to be something else or somebody else. Take a lot of inspiration from somebody else, yes, good, but don't try to be that somebody else.
Yeah.
You never can be somebody else. You got to be your own person.
Yeah.
And tolerance has to be from both levels. You need to really respect a senior citizen,
Hmm.
be kind to the older people,
Hmm.
and equally kind to the kids and children. I'm somebody who strongly is against child abuse and child exploitation.
Right.
It's one of those topics that really, really hurts
Hmm.
me,
Hmm. Hmm.
and because it's like nipping them in the bud,
True.
right?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And a lot of abuse happens in in inside the house, in the own child's home, you know,
Hmm. Hmm.
and all about good touch, bad touch, and it's so sad that today, honestly, if I see a 7-year-old girl or a boy, it's very difficult for me to go and pick up the child and embrace
Yeah.
the child, and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's really really sick. It's really sick
True.
that you need to think before you go
Yeah.
and hug a little child out there. If I go to the park for a walk, if I see a little
Yeah.
girl walking towards me or running towards me, I'm always a little cautious about how I'm going to deal with that child,
Hmm. Hmm.
because
Hmm. Yeah.
society is in such a bad shape today that you could
Hmm.
easily be misunderstood, and that's a sick place to
Yeah.
be at, man. Really, it's really
No.
horrible,
Absolutely.
really horrible,
Absolutely.
really
Absolutely.
horrible.
Absolutely. So I guess with that, ladies and gentlemen, you've heard the views straight from the lion's mouth. Dean, Deepak, thank you so much for coming on to the show. Everyone, please do not forget to check out his latest music video, Jada. And I mean, we link him, I guess, soon enough. And then, please go check out this video. I mean, I've listened to it, I don't know how many times, and you guys will listen. I don't know how many times you guys will listen to it, but I am hooked, line, and sinker. Thank you so much, Deepak, for being on this show. And God bless,
Thank you
man.
so
I
much,
mean,
Alex.
continue the good work. You rock as you always have. Rock on, brother.
Thank you, Alex, and keep
Rock on.
keep up the good work. You're already doing a lot of good work out there, and you're an unsung hero. I think somebody should interview you too soon, and I'd like to do that if you give me a
Thank you.
chance. You know, and so much for having me on this
God
show, and
willing.
for and it's my honor, honestly. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much.
It's our pleasure. Thank you so much, brother. Thank you so much.
Peace and
So,
love.
people, peace and love. So, people, we come to the end of the show now, and I hope you've enjoyed listening to the pearls of wisdom. People, pearls of wisdom. Um, these words may not be repeated again. So it's like, when certain words go down in history, well, so do the people who've said it. So it's best to listen to them when they're around. It's best to, like, stick with what they say. It'll help you. So that brings you to the end of this show. And do not forget to check out Jada. All right. See you around, folks. Ciao.